9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the episode of the Popcorn People podcast. We have a jam-packed episode for you guys with so much to talk about. We're going to give our social reaction, just a quick tidbit of thoughts on Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. We're going to talk in depth about The Quiet Place Day 1. And then, of course, we're going to top it off with some House of the Dragon Episode 3 conversation. Just a crazy episode of House of the Dragon this week. I loved it quite a bit. We'll dive into that in just a minute. As always, joined by my partner here, Mr. Don Fisher. How are you, bud?
What's popping, Colonels? Man, I'm sore. Man, I got back into working out and shit with the fam, and your boy been, I'm in my. It's weird to say I'm in my mid-30s, and people that know me, they knew me as Big Swole once upon a time, and I was lifting the whole gym, and now like that I'm trying to get back into it. My body is like, what are you doing? We're supposed to be eating popcorn, bro. Like, what are we doing in the gym? Yeah, man, I'm feeling. It's getting better. I'm starting to feel a little get back used to the routine, but right now, it is definitely wounded dragon over here right now. My wings don't want to work. My arms are so tired.
I feel you, man. It's definitely not easy. As you get older, everything is harder and harder to do. It is, period. End of story. No questions asked about it. But we've got a big couple of weeks. We had a strong week. We got a week up ahead that's going to be pretty busy for us as well. Obviously, we're seeing the new Minions movie, Despicable Me 4 tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we have a screener for what do we have a screen for Wednesday? What's Wednesday? Maxine.
Oh, Maxine's
Wednesday. Yeah. And then of course next week we got Long Legs, Fly Me to the Moon. We're busy is all we're saying on these parts of the world. So I'm very, very excited about that. But our good friend Chris Clarkson was supposed to join us to talk about House of the Dragon this week. He's a little bit under the weather. We're gonna miss him and his insight, but he should be back next week with us. But you know what? We were going to start this a little bit different, but we're going to go ahead and dive right into House of the Dragon Episode 3 first. We've got to talk about it. It's fresh on Dom's mind. Dom just watched it a few moments ago. We're going to dive right into it first. Give me some initial reaction, initial thoughts about House of the Dragon Episode 3.
This is a spillover and the continuation from Episode 2 for me in this thought, but Kristen Cole is a little punk. I can't stand this dude so much. There's a inflated ego disease that flies around King's Landing because these people cannot admit when they're wrong. They won't accept help. They just rather crash and burn, and it is crazy. And right before we got on, as the episode ended, and I was kind of thinking through what I told Ricky right before we started, is that seeing how this episode played out, we kind of see what it's like to have women in charge, right? I've worked at places where women were in charge, fantastic, and now we're seeing with Rhaenyra, kind of she's keeping her cards close to the vest, and they don't want no beef. They don't want war. They know they don't like each other, but they know they have to. No one wants to die. You know what I mean? Like they're thinking like, hey, I don't want to die. Why are we doing this? And the guys are like, I don't care. I want blood and glory. And it's like, all right, y'all do what you want to do. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts is like, this is a lot of what we see taking place on these shows, like a lot of things can be related to now, to the present, and where we've always been afraid to have a woman president, a woman whatever. We're seeing that because they always there's always this talk of women can't control their emotions, but a lot of times, from my experience, women are usually a little more level-headed and think things through, where the guys are kind of, they get that first initial thought and they want to run with it, which a lot of times leads to war, as what we're seeing play out in these past couple episodes. But since you've had a couple chances to see this episode, what were you thinking?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to kind of put into perspective, right? You know what I mean? Like, to me, this episode was watching it the first time is one thing. Watching it a second time, it kind of really brings a different perspective on how things go, because obviously, in one hand, you have Prince Damon, who's just leaving abruptly. He's gone. He's taken over, Harrenhal, and he's just like, I'm going to take this over. I'm going to do my own thing. I don't really care anymore. And then, of course, in the background of this, you have King Aegon, who's going to go out in the town and just pisses off his brother for the 900,000th time. You know what I mean? Like, he just continues to piss him off no matter what. And then, of course, on the flip side of this, one of the coolest things that happened in this episode, obviously, again, if you have not watched episode 3 of House of the Dragons, please stop listening. But the return of Millie Alcock was pretty fucking cool. Yeah. Loved seeing her, because I thought she was a great young Rhaenyra in this entire series, and I just miss seeing her on my screen. However, flip side, obviously Emma Darcy is just absolutely brilliant. So it doesn't, like, it's both sides of the coins are brilliant. But I love watching. To me, what really stood out to me in this episode, outside of what you talked about, and I didn't want to touch on that because he already said something, but Matt Smith's ability to kind of really sell this entire sequence of this shocking cameo and everything that, like, was just going on right there with his emotions. He sells so much with his face. Yeah. And it's just so good. Like, there was like a whole dialogue, like there was like just no dialogue really, very minimal dialogue in that moment. His ability to sell that and tell you with his face that just everything that he's going through mentally, emotionally, and physically without having to say a word, because you're talking about, again, a time frame, like you're saying, a time frame where, like, this wasn't ordinary for, like, even for women to be in charge, but also at the same time, it's not ordinary for men to be emotional, show your emotions, and all these things. So it's hard for him to break down, but you see it in his face, and you see him tell this story in such a convincing and crazy manner that it just blows me away every time he's on the screen. The meeting of the minds, it's that last desperation you talked about. You know what I mean? It's the last desperation to try to have this conversation. I want to try one last time. I know when I go here, A, it's a bad idea. B, it's probably not going to happen. And C, I could die on my mission, but I have to make one last level-headed decision before we go to war. Not even really understanding that the war has kind of already started. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's a lot of things already playing out, because you have brothers that are just doing whatever the fuck they want in the background of moving pieces. Aemon's making calls, Kriston's making calls, everybody's making calls and things like that. And poor Rhaenyra is just like, can we all just get along? Can we just negotiate here? Can we just have some fun, have some peace? But what did you think of that entire sequence there?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I think this episode is the easiest to put yourself in a lot of the different shoes of everybody, because you do see the internal struggle of Daemon. I mean, even when he goes to say, it's your grace, and guys say, oh, my bad. I mean, you're kind of I guess you're the prince, but like, all right, cool. And then he slips up again, and you see him continue to be like, bro, like, you're not gonna put some respect on my name. And then, Rhaenyra really, that's the thing too. She doesn't know who to trust fully. She has Rhaenys to rely on, and of course she has Corlys, who she goes back and they conversate, and she brings it back to Rhaenyra to kind of like, hey, like, you got to get on some kind of level, give them something to believe in, because right now you're losing everybody. And then now she's, kind of confiding in, I think her name is Mysaria. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
Massaria, and you don't. She is one of those people. Almost seems kind of like Laris, where is she helping just to further what she's trying to do, or is she actually genuine because she was looking for somebody to reciprocate respect? And now that Rhaenyra's done that, she's like, I can help you, as long as I'm not getting fucked over like I have been. And, since Rhaenyra doesn't have a penis, she's like, I'm literally not going to get done in. So maybe I can, be comfortable here because I'm willing to help, even if it is just to get back at the high towers. So it's interesting to see this. Everybody with sense, should I say, is kind of struggling on what to do because it is a lot of people's lives in your hands. And then you also are struggling to maintain this confidence because you're put in these positions and the other people around you have been doing this a lot longer. All the councils, all the knights, they've all been doing this forever. And then you get put in this position of power and you're like, they're looking to me, but like, I low-key don't know what I'm doing. But I think it's smart on Rhaenyra to be like, I've heard your arguments. I'm gonna go think on it. Whereas Aegon is like, bro, I don't care. Let's just kill everybody. And it's evident inside King's Landing is the Kingsguard doesn't respect Kristen Cole, doesn't respect the king. They're sitting down, they're chilling, they're trying to hold in laughter because right now they see it's all crumbling and they're just like, whatever, dude. Like, I'm just watch it all burn. I'll fight when I have to, but y'all are a joke.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, to me, is crazy. It's just like you have two houses that are just so not in unison. You know what I mean? You have two houses set to go into a war, and really none of them have any intention of like figuring their shit out. You know what I'm saying? Like none of them really like want to just jump in head first and be like, yeah, I think that this is going to work. I think that we're going to be strong. I think we're going to do all the right things. It's not like you have too many people that don't respect the king and, or in this instance, the queen enough to kind of sit back, let them do their thing, and then just completely forget all about it. But that being said, I will say the final moments between Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook, just a brilliant, fantastically acted sequence. Emma Darcy, they are fantastic. They do a great job of selling the emotion there. While Olivia Cook, I felt was like a stone cold, like you could see she wants to do it, right?
Yeah.
You could see want to not just dive headfirst into like this war, but she also knows deep down that I've got to do it. Like I've got to, like I don't have a choice. You know what I mean? My hands are tied. We're going to war type of scenario. Overall thoughts on the episode heading into episode 4.
This is, I think that last interaction with Alicent and Rhaenyra, it definitely. This is the lighting of the powder keg, because with that line of like, it's too late. My dad's gone. They want blood. It kind of gives us that, it's nothing can be done. This is finna get wild. We already saw a pile of bodies between like the Blackwoods and Brecken. Like, so it can only get worse, especially as everybody's collecting all the soldiers they can. And it doesn't seem like, what could even be worse is that it doesn't seem like anybody is really beholden to any side of the crown. It's kind of who comes to them first and kind of can emotionally appeal to them, because they're just like, I don't know, bro. Like, I just don't want to die. You got here first. We'll ride with you. Because I'm sure everybody, that's the one thing too with kingdoms, is that all the people who are under the kingdom, they all have their personal thoughts, but they can't say them out loud around the royals. So when they go, oh yeah, I'm with you, they're like, this is shit. Like, this is, what are they doing? Like, they're gonna get us killed, they're gonna get themselves killed, but there's nothing you can do, because if you don't help, they're gonna kill you on the spot anyway. And I'm like, again, I I think I told Ricky this the other day. I'm just curious what Corliss has planned. They keep showing him he's getting better. He's planning with these ships. You have Reyna, could possibly be his heir, and he's not sure about it. And then the youngster, and I don't know. So now you have another stubborn person who doesn't want to quite think forward, think about the future, and is going to act on their instinct. So yeah, it looks like this is leading up, and which makes this episode, I think, could be potentially one of the best ones of the season, just because this is a perfect lead up to what seems like it's going to be all out bloodshed.
I cannot confirm nor deny any of those facts as I have seen episode 4, but I can promise you that everything that you had hoped and dreamed, that everything it was building to, it does pay off in a massive way. Next week's episode is by far probably the best episode of TV that I've seen this year. I will say I recently started watching The Bear, and episode 1 of that is one of the best pieces of television this year I've seen this year. But we're having a feast of great television. This week's episode, Calm Before the Storm. I love the meeting of the minds. There's intricate storytelling that I think that is very important to tell, that sometimes people look at the show and they're like, man, it's so boring. But I'm like, each of these layers are here for a reason. Each of these layers are producing story that will come to fruition at some point in time. And I'm telling you, it pays off in such a way this coming up. Next week's episode of when we're going to be talking about this is going to be electric. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for Dom and I to be able to chat about it, because it's a gold mine. You know what I mean? Like it's a gold mine. You know what I mean? So that being said, enough for that for now, because I can't say much else. I'll get myself in trouble. But another great episode. But we're going to dive into a little bit of movie. We're going to give some thoughts on Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, in just a second.
All right, what you been waiting for shit, like 20 years? I think
30.
Directed by Mark Malloy. After his daughter's life is threatened, wisecracking detective Axel Foley teams up with a new partner and some old pals to turn up the heat on a conspiracy. Of course, this movie stars Eddie Murphy, Judge Reinhold, John Ashton, Taylor Page, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. There's a few others, but I don't want to give everybody away because some of them even felt like a surprise to me. But Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Ricky, I'll let you go first.
All right. So again, this is just a social reactions, not a review, not going to go full thoughts. Dom and I had an opportunity to catch this early thanks to our friends over at the Soho House. I love that place. Check it out for yourself over here in Nashville. I really was hoping for a few things. I want them to ensure that Axel Foley remained Axel Foley 30 years later. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I wanted Axel Foley, no holds bar, says what he wants, has no restrictions, has no worry about anything that he's going to say, have any repercussions for his words, because Axel Foley was Axel Foley. Because Axel Foley was Eddie fucking Murphy. And Eddie Murphy back in the day did not give a shit. He said what he wanted. Yep. He did what he wanted. He was a comedic genius. He's a comedic icon, and he's the comedic GOAT, in my opinion, and will forever be that, because it just felt like he was the launching pad for so many people. It was just, he's incredible. He's great in this. I said this right after the movie. It reminded me in that nostalgia factor of the most recent Bad Boys. I felt like I had some similar beats to that even. Not only do you have the nostalgic factor with the old characters, you also have some new characters that bring some fresh air in it. Taylor Page, who's just electric. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who reminds us that he can be very funny. And he plays a serious but yet funny role. I feel like we need to see more of him in, because it's just a quirky enough role for him to kind of be, in my opinion, the best version of himself as an actor. Ultimately, that's just some rough initial thoughts. We'll kind of break down more of our thoughts probably next week. But to me, everything I wanted this film to be, is exactly what it was. What about you, Dom?
Man, the one good thing about movies like this that the franchise is making this resurgence is that a lot of us who grew up watching movies, we loved them. Whether you got to watch them when they first came out or you got to experience them in the 90s or early 2000s growing up, there's a love for Eddie Murphy and his movies. And I posted like the poster on my story last night, said now watching. And a director friend of mine, he messaged me and said, "Oh man, I'm so excited. I hope it was good." And my first kind of thoughts, which is kind of my social, thought, is that they did a perfect balance of keeping it fresh while maintaining the right amount of nostalgia with this story. And like Ricky said, it does have these Bad Boys beats where we know that he's older and trying to keep up. And now they're able to keep him doing the same things he's done before without it looking like, oh, he's old man. Why is he doing that? So there's this perfect balance of those two things, of old and new. There's a perfect balance of drama and comedy. The buddy cop aspect of it is really great with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Eddie. This is like, we've had a lot of movies have these 20-year, 30-year sequels, making these comebacks, bringing old cast members back. This is one of the best ones that I've seen that I can remember in recent memory. It's a lot of fun, and it's definitely, going to do numbers on Netflix. This is going to be that number one film for at least a month, if not more, because Eddie Murphy, no matter what he does, appeals to all of our funny bones. There's just I don't like you said if you don't think he's a GOAT, you might want to go back and check because he has a direct line to my funny bone, man. We both laughed nonstop. Everybody in the theater was laughing. It's a fantastic time, and I know that Eddie was really happy to bring it to Netflix because he wanted everybody to be able to watch it. But honestly, this I think would have done hella numbers in the theaters. But hey, they may have made the right decision, and we respect Eddie and his team. But this movie is a lot of fun. I think everyone would enjoy it, and I don't think any of you will dislike it. If people dislike it, you might want to check them. You for real, like get some new friends. If they don't like it, get some new friends.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, to me, it's great. I loved it, and I can't wait to kind of dive more deeper into it because it really did. It hit me exactly where I wanted it to. So yeah. All right, let's just go into brief thoughts on A Quiet Place Day One. If you want to check out full thoughts on our reviews of A Quiet Place Day One, you can check out Dom's. You write one for Geek Vibes, right?
Yep.
Check his out over at geekvibesnation.com, and you can check out mine at fandomwire.com. Honestly, Dom, just what was your expectation? Keep it simple. Expectations, thoughts, and score.
Okay. So Quiet Place Day One. So I went in with medium expectations. I know the first two movies are fantastic. And with a franchise like this, you become infatuated and love this family dynamic and how this journey starts from beginning to end with them. And when you lose one or two, it makes whoever's left, you love them even more because of how they're able to survive. And getting to this film where we're going back to day one in the city, and the city is referenced in the second movie. Henry mentions that There was 12 boats for people to get out of the city. 2 made it to that island that we see in the second film. And Henry does make this, you know, see in the trailers, makes this appearance again. But framing this story around someone, around people wanting to preserve and save their lives, and framing around someone whose life hangs in a balance before this all starts, I think it's fantastic because it shows that humanity is not such a black and white thing. You know, if someone that is dying could easily just say, "Take me now," but I think what it shows is that we have this innate ability to want to help people, even if you think you're somebody who wouldn't. When catastrophe happens, that something clicks in your brain, and you want to help strangers. You want to help everybody that you can because no one knows what's going on, and I think that's our human nature is to, and that's why I initially said was the movie is as beautiful as it is thrilling, and I'm talking about the beautiful of the humanity because these are strangers we see coming together when the what they call them, the death angels, come down, more fierce, more numbers, and in some cases bigger than we've ever seen in the previous 2 films, and in the loudest city in America, and quite possibly one of the loudest cities in the world, as the film kind of mentions how loud it is in the beginning. So the humanity and the thrills of it, and then the human connection, I found great. There is kind of a slight disconnect with the character just because we don't have time to fully connect with them because we can't get a full kind of story like we do with the characters in the previous films. So my rating out of 10 went to a 7.5. On another watch, it could possibly be an 8, but I don't see myself getting above an 8. But I really enjoyed the film. If you're able to see it in IMAX, or I heard 4DX is crazy, treat yourself, you know what I'm saying? Because like this film shows, life is fleeting and can be snatched at any time. And, you know, like we know, we're not King Tut. We can't take our riches with us. So, man, if you can, when you can, treat yourself. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, to me, it kind of shocked me. It blew me away, I think, in some aspects too, because I wasn't. I think something that was missing from the first 2 films. Don't get me wrong, there is emotional beats in the first 2 films that you really feel. You feel these elements of emotion, especially obviously when Krasinski's character kind of bites the bullet. You kind of expect that sort of thing, and you feel these things. But what really kind of floored me here was the emotional elements of this character of Lupita. And Lupita's character just obviously is already embodying so much in her character because she's going through this cancer and she's living through it. And Samira, I think her name was Samira, right? And this life that she's living is so minute. She talks about it several different times. She's like, you know, I was given 6 months to live. Then it was 3 months. Then it was 2 months. And then it started again. Then it started again. And she's like, she sees these numbers and expects to be gone. And I think there's this deep, rich emotion to her character that you don't see in the first 2 films. And the development and how no matter, like, I just feel like there's a parallel of like, no matter how much the world's falling apart around you, you still find solace in something. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that I took away from her character. You know what I mean? Her life was falling apart. The entire world around her is awful. You know what I mean? But she just wanted to find some sort of happiness. In this instance, she wanted a slice of pizza. Yeah. You know what I mean? And to me, like, that to me was just so symbolistic of no matter how hard life is, you know what I mean? Like you still got to find those little moments in life that you got to try to cherish because you never know. I mean, obviously in this instance, we're talking a drastic alien invasion type thing, but you know what I mean? It's still the point of this character and her development and the payoff is so beautiful, so sweet. And it's just like, you know, and I said this on Twitter. Look, I was not a fan of Eddie Munson or whatever the hell his name was on Stranger Things, but Joseph Quinn can act. Like I didn't know. Like and this is the thing. This isn't just acting. You know what I mean? You're selling most of this film with your body, your face, your facial expressions, your all of that. And that's not easy to do. You know what I mean? You're trying to sell us this film in those minimal details. So to me, phenomenal performance by him. Like phenomenal. Just a great performance from the cast in general. Like I said, really blown away by everything that unfolded in this film. I was floored, and I'm happy that it's doing well at the box office because it deserves it big time.
Yeah, and it and I know that this is not hyperbole when I say this. This is one of the best endings or the most satisfying endings that you'll ever see. Like it's such a good ending, and it's funny because what you were talking about with kind of finding a little bit of normalcy. I remember watching the second one with my wife or rewatching it, and there's a point where Emily Blunt's character goes to the store, the little convenience store, and she grabs just the things she needs instead of grabbing everything just in case. And I think when you get in these situations, because I liken this movie to the same reason why I like The Walking Dead, and it's this kind of like I have to, for my mental, we have to do things somewhat normally when we can. That way we don't devolve into like a chaotic monster, which some people do end up turning into. And I think that trying to find that slice of pizza, knowing that the wrong move, knocking a book over can get you murked with the quickness, is like a very like magical thing to behold, because you think about like what would you do in a situation, and I think that's the one big thing that these movies create is this kind of conversation with your friends and family of like, how long would you survive, what would you do? And I think this film kind of shows you like, you know, especially if you know like I'm probably not gonna make it, let's go get some whiskey and a pizza, man, because it's gonna be over soon. Fuck it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And exactly. And that to me, there's just again, there's just something more profound in this script that, you know what I mean, like that I didn't expect. You know what I mean? I didn't expect to feel everything that I felt watching this. I didn't. Like there was just 0% chance that I really thought that I was going to sit here and feel these hardcore emotions that were just going to rip me in 1,000 different pieces. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I didn't expect it. I was floored by it. And I am happy that I got to experience it. And especially like you said, on the big screen, the way that we did, because it was fantastic in IMAX.
Yeah, that sound design is top notch.
Yeah, like it's 100% award worthy. It's 100% needs to be not taken for granted because just I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's just that good. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just so good. I don't know. I don't know what I expected, but this was not it.
And I'm really hoping, and I mean, we know, you guys know how the Hollywood machine works when a successful IP and we get movie after movie after movie. And not to saying that if a sequel to this came out that we wouldn't watch it. If they do it, hopefully it would be 5-10 years from now, because I feel like the way this ended was in such a like I said, a satisfying way that I'm like, I don't need another.
I don't want it.
Because I think what we got in these 3 movies, it's a good trilogy because it there's nothing really else for you to see or want to get out of a movie like that, because we see the family dynamic, we saw the strangers dynamic, which also doubled as kind of a fish out of water because Joseph Quinn's character is not from New York, so he's completely like, what do I do? So I think we got it all. I don't think we need any more, and just let this trilogy live as a really, really great trilogy within the horror, fantasy, or sci-fi type of realm, and don't touch it. But
yeah, I do think we're going to see another one. I do think that I do recall that Krasinski even said, I think he did say that there is going to be another Quiet Place. I agree with you. Like, I don't need another one. I don't need another one in this franchise. It's kind of to the point now where it's like, all right, man, like, it's not that it's ran its course, but also at the same time, it's kind of ran its course. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, just let it kind of, just let it die. You know what I mean?
The only question you could really have is, why did they come down these meteors? Like, where are they from? But at the same time, asking too many questions takes away
from the mystique of everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why, like, Signs was one of my favorite alien films until they showed the fucking alien, and I was like, my mind created something great, and then I saw it and I was like, oh shit, movie just they just tanked, and it ruined it for me. So leaving some mystique makes the movie that much better. Yeah,
it's important. You know what I mean? It's very important for that, because you're kind of wanting something more from everything, and then they just out of nowhere feel the need to give you too much. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to leave some things to the meets the eye. You know what I mean? Like, just let us have something to remember certain things by. I don't know. I think you got to leave it alone. Obviously, it's making a lot of money, so we all know what that means at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't matter. Like, leave it alone. Let it be. Let us enjoy this kind of whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, I don't know. Just let it be. As was it the Beatles? I think it said, "Let it be." You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. All right. So Dom, talk to us. Have you watched anything else recently that's really kind of had you jumping for joy at any point in time here?
I can't remember if we ever talked Tuesday. I think we did a little bit. Tuesday was it's A24 movie, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and it's a movie about taking time to appreciate those around you, and death in the form of a parrot. It's interesting. I liked it. I wish I would have liked it more, because I think that they kind of rushed some things. But it is a very interesting movie, and interesting the things that take place. If I give you anything, I feel like it would kind of spoil some things. Let's see. So trigger warning on Netflix. Jessica Alba making her kind of big comeback. If you've seen Walking Tall, you've seen this movie, but Walking Tall is better.
She could have stayed back. She could have stayed out in retirement or whatever she was doing.
Yeah, I wish it. I don't know. You might love it, but if you see some other action films there's some that are incredibly similar, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, this one is not as good. Sorry, Discover, I love you. I do. Didn't love the film. No, I mean, I guess I had just been rewatching some stuff. I think I rewatched the first 2 Quiet Places in preparation for our screening. I just got done with some Tribeca, watched a few things, got some shorts that I'm gonna probably do a little write up about, which have one. This is the risque shorts, the ones about sex and nudity and passion, and the ones that people are kind of afraid to touch. I've realized I I noticed that when I did one last year for a festival, and if the title is anything kind of suggestive, people kind of freak out. And there's a short called "Fuck a Fan," and I'm sure people are gonna be like, "What? I can't believe that's a thing." Well, I'm sorry, it is. It's art, okay? Look at it as art, and that's what it is. I do have. I was supposed to watch Kill this morning, but me and my wife were catching up on The Bear. We were trying to power through the second season, which is phenomenal. We just got done with the episode where it's like the family Christmas dinner, the seven fishes.
Yeah,
Dude, it's so fucking good. So hopefully we finish season 2 probably around like tomorrow and start season 3 this week. That show is so good. It's stupid. I'm glad that I've heard that my girl Liza is getting some shine in season 3 because she's a real one. I met her at an award show like 2 years ago, and then we saw her again. This one, me and Ricky saw her at this past Critics' Choice Award, and she's just cool, man. Cool as a fan. It's just as cool as she is in the show, and as sweet as she seems on the show. Same way in person, and same thing with Io. Cool as hell. But yeah, I think I've just been catching up on Acolyte and catching up on what's the other? Oh, and The Boys. The Boys this season is fantastic. It's so good. You get, bro. You gotta. Even if you just start on this season, dude, it's so fucking good, man. It's like this. Everything's like I know that this next or season 5 is gonna be the last season. Everything's finally coming to a head, and you see this descent into madness with 2 of the main characters. It's good, man. It's good. This last Acolyte episode was dope. I can't remember the guy's name. I think his name is like Manny, who's in The Good Place. Played Jason. He's the kind of the spoiler alert, the Sith Lord. Dude's fucking badass. He looks dope. I don't know what else they're gonna do with his character. But and you know, the show, it doesn't have the best writing. You know, it's not peak Star Wars, but the show's fun, man. You gotta take your I'm too good for the extra Star Wars stuff out of it and just have some fun. Some of y'all take this shit way too fucking serious. Like, relax, okay? You wanted them to create new shit. They're creating new shit. If you think you can do better, you'd be a fucking writer on the show, okay? All right? Give them, you know, if you don't know how movies and TV shows are made, it's a lot of hands, it's a lot of people, and you're trying to make art while making everyone else happy. It's hard to do. All right. When we write our reviews, we're trying to create a new narrative for the reviews we're writing on a weekly basis. That shit is hard, dog. Like, so give people a break because as easy as sometimes we make things seem, it's hard. It's hard work.
It's hard out here for a pimp. Yeah. What have I watched recently? I don't even know. I'm watching The Mole season 2 on Netflix. If you like reality TV, it's phenomenal. I love it quite a bit. It's one of my favorite shows. It was on back in the day, and now it returned to Netflix like 2 or 3 years ago. Season 2 is airing right now. Episodes 1 through 5 are available. I'm about to dive into Sausage Party, the TV show that's coming out mid-July. Cannot wait for that. Loved the movie. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm in the 4 or 5 episodes into The Bear season 3. Continues to be one of the best shows on television. I mean, the first episode, I'm telling you, when I tell you that the first episode of season 3 is not only a masterpiece, it's one of the best pieces of television. I mean, it's probably like if I did like a top 25 episodes of a TV in the history of TV, it would be up there. And what's crazy about it is it's very minimal dialogue. Jeremy,
I love
Allen
that.
White, yeah, so do I. It's just the way it was shot. The way even my wife was like, my wife's not deep into this like we are. You know what I mean? My wife's like, damn, that was shot great. Just the way it was this and that and this and that. And I was like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm rubbing off on you a little bit. Right. But like to me, it blew me away what the caliber of what this show brought to the table. I was floored. But watch The Bear. If you haven't, 28 episodes are on Hulu right now to watch.
And even better, most of the episodes are around 30, 35 minutes.
Yep.
I know a lot of people get scared because shows like that win awards, they're usually hour-long episodes, and you're like, I can't tackle that. But these, most
28 and a half hour episodes, you can watch them in 14 hours.
Yeah. Me and my wife, season 2, we didn't even start watching it till about 1 o'clock. We almost finished the second season. We would have probably finished most of it, but episode 6 is an hour long because they want to give you this full introduction to the Brazato family, and it is so worth it. So worth it.
All right, folks, that is it for this week's episode of the Popcorn People Podcast. We will be back next week talking probably a little bit more in depth about Beverly Hills Cop. We'll be talking about Maxine. We'll be talking about Despicable Me 4, House of Dragons episode 4. We've got so much to talk about next week. The seasons are here. There's so much TV to talk about. There's so much movies to talk about. We try to break it down as the best we can. But as always, we appreciate you guys listening to another episode of the Popcorn People Podcast. We will talk to you guys next week.
Peace.